Hello everyone, welcome to my home. I'm going to make a meatballs today. I'm going to make New York style. I'm going to show you how to make regular meatballs, just in case you don't like veal or just want plain chopped meat, which is ground round. In New Jersey we call it chopped meat. So what I did is I have regular chopped meat. I have 2 pounds, 3 links of sausage, and I have ground veal. So if you want to just make plain meatballs, just use chopped meat. So it's the same recipe for either the chopped meat, for regular meatballs. If you want to go to the extreme and impress your family with a real Italian meatball, you're going to use sausage, ground round, which is chopped meat, and you're going to use ground veal. Okay? So, anyway, I'm going to show you how I do it. Let me see if you can see me. Yeah, you can see me right here. So I'll put that on the stove so you can see me. So again, if you just want regular meatballs, you're going to use 2 pounds. Okay? I'm going to make it a New York Italian. Just take out the sausage out of the link. You have 3 links. And just slide it right out. I'm sorry, but you need to use your hands. So you could do it the same way as I'm doing it now with regular ground beef, ground chopped meat, ground chuck, whatever you want to call it. We again call it chopped meat. So I'm going to break it up a little bit. It's still kind of frozen. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I make mine. And I have a pizza sauce I'm going to make for you, and I'm also going to make a quick sauce so you can make, like, if you've got an hour and you want to make a nice quick meal for your family. I do a lot of big cooking during the weekend, and then I cut it down and I freeze it or whatever. If I make a lasagna, I cut it down and to 2 meals, and I'll pull it out when I come home from work, and or take it out that morning, thaw it out, and I come home and I pop it in the oven, or even frozen. I mean, anything works. So you want to bust it all up. And I'm going to use my veal. And mix this real good, real quick. I have cut at least... oh my goodness, how many? I probably cut about 7 cloves of garlic. And the reason I did so much is I'll show you in a minute what I'm doing. So I'm making a pizza sauce, a quick sauce. Normally would cook all day long. And then I'm going to show you what I'm doing for my meatballs. Okay. Let me wash my hands. So for each pound of meat, I usually use 2 eggs. The more eggs you use, the more, I think, firm and dry it becomes. So you really just want to stay at 2 eggs. I apologize, I should have been more organized than I was. But let me show you, I'm going to warm up 1 cup of olive oil. 1 cup. I'm going to put it at medium heat. I'm going to add some Italian seasonings. And don't be shy. I'm going to use about that much, which is probably, I don't know, maybe 4 tablespoons. And I'm going to add a little bit of oregano. Just a little bit. You don't want to overdo it because oregano is very strong. I'm going to use a couple of hot peppers. Hot pepper flakes, just a little bit. Again, very strong. So we're warming this up right now, and then I'm going to add my garlic. And I'm going to get my fresh basil and parsley. Remember, I told you I freeze everything. I'm going to put about a handful down because I'm making a lot. So maybe a little more. I like my fresh herbs. These are from my garden. Remember I told you they either come out whole. It depends on how you pack it. These are going in my meatballs, so, and it also in my sauce. This is my fresh parsley. Remember, it's frozen. So when I freeze it, I forgot to tell you, I take all my stems off, every bit of the stems. So I'm only getting the leaf, which is nice. You don't want the stems in there. I'm gonna put the eggs in here. I'll mash them up in a minute. My grated cheese, I use a lot. So this is my grated Parmigiano. So I'm gonna add that right into here, into my meatballs. And you never put it in the oil. So I'm gonna add some in here and add the rest in here. And I have more. If you don't have enough cheese, grated cheese in there, you're not going to taste the flavors. And it really makes the sauce, along with the garlic and the herbs. So I'm going to add fresh basil into my olive oil. I'm going to turn the heat up. You can actually hear it a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this and I'm marinating it for all three. For my sauce, for my quick sauce, for my pizza sauce, and for my meatballs. And by warming it up, all that garlic, love it. And by warming it up, it marinates the flavor together, which is amazing. So I have my fresh basil, my parsley, my fresh parsley. I have a little bit of red pepper. I have a little teeny bit of oregano, and I have Italian seasonings. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. Just a little bit. Just a pinch. Maybe a, little pinch, whatever you want to do. So you can hear that. Do you hear it? It's frying a little bit. So I don't want to overcook it. I don't want to do that. So I'm just warming the flavors together so they get married together and have a nice flavor. Done. The reason I do this is through all the years of my cooking, the flavors, you just don't taste the herbs and everything you should be tasting. That's all I could tell you. It just makes everything taste so much better. For a quick sauce, for anything that you're making. Let me turn these on. That helps. Okay. Try to clean a little bit as you go along. That helps. So I'm going to let this cool down a minute. And if you feel like while you're tasting and you need more flavors of something that you want to add, you can. This is how I do it. So what do I have in here? 3 links of sausage, Italian sweet sausage. I have a pound of veal and 2 pounds of chopped meat. And 2 eggs so far. And what, maybe half a cup of grated cheese. I'm gonna add maybe about that much breadcrumbs, which would be maybe a cup. If you need more, add it. If you feel like it's too dry, add a little more milk. I'm gonna add a cup of milk. When we were younger, my mother would take a piece of bread and put it in milk for her breadcrumbs. She would saturate the slice of bread in milk and she would put it in there just in case. So I'm forming my meatballs. So I can bake them and I can fry them. You want to give it a good mix because I'm going to be adding the zugi, my father would say, in it in a few minutes. I don't want to add it too hot. So make sure you give it a good mix. My mother would take water in her hands and shake it off, and she would roll her meatballs so they stuck together. She also did that with meatloaf. So you can mold it if your hands are wet. Okay. I'll make a little valley. Leave that there for a second. Wash my hands. For my sauce, my quick sauce right here, I used whole tomatoes. I usually use pure tomato sauce, excuse me. But I used whole tomatoes, so that's all I had in my cabinet. And I used diced tomatoes for both. But I pureed this more and left that a little chunky. And that is gonna be your pizza sauce. So I'm going to give this a nice mix. You see all those beautiful herbs? Pour that in there. Remember, that was 1 cup of olive oil. 7 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna put a little of this in here because on a pizza sauce, it's more plain sauce and garlic. Do not be afraid to add olive oil to your marinara, to your sauce, whatever you want to call it. It does cook through beautifully. I'm going to add a little more of that to there, and I'm going to add the rest of this. Let's give this a turn so you can see it. So mix it well so all your grated cheese and everything. You never put grated cheese in your frying pan. Add it right to the meat or right to the sauce, like I showed you. So this quick sauce that I'm making right here, can you see it? Okay. This is gonna cook for about, I don't know. I gotta be honest with you, I cook it pretty long. So maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, if it's a quick sauce. The pizza sauce, I'll show you that. So this is gonna be for my meatballs. I'm making meatball parmesan. So here's my pizza sauce. It's a little thicker. You don't want pizza sauce thin because it will leak through your pizza dough. And what a mess that would be. So you can see the difference. And what I don't use today on my pizza sauce, I will Ziploc and freeze. On my sauce, I could do so much with this. I can make a quick pasta. I can make pasta vazzoule. I could do anything with it. So this should be cooled down by now. So I'm gonna give this a good mix. I'm gonna have all the ingredients for you in my notes. If you could smell this, you wouldn't believe. You could smell nothing but herbs and freshness. Take your time making your meatballs. Your family will appreciate it. And to hand it down to your family, what a blessing. So you could use your hands to mold a meatball, or you can use a big melon ball scooper, or ice cream scooper rather. Depending on what size. If you're making teeny little meatballs, you could use a melon ball scooper, and that would be for like Swedish meatballs. You can use an ice cream one, which gives you a bigger one. If I can find it. Anyway, I'll use my hands. So my mom would do a little secret. Let's see if I can get this for you. It's a hard-boiled egg. Give it a rinse. My mother would make a meatball, and whoever got the hard-boiled egg in the meatball didn't have to do the dishes. It's a big meatball, but boy, is that good. So you never knew. So she'd make that big, and she would cut them, and then she would put them on a nice hoagie sandwich. So I have my oven on at 350, and we're gonna bake and we're gonna fry. I'm making a big meatball. So again, I can cut them in half, and it's just so beautiful on a sandwich. You can go smaller. You sure can. You can go smaller, but I'm not. It's not meatball and spaghetti. If it's meatball and spaghetti, I'll make them smaller. But I'm gonna make sure that these, a good handful, that these are gonna be for meatball Parmesan sandwiches. So I need them big and delicious. You can, oh, I wish you guys could smell this. So take your time in the kitchen. Take your time. Remember that you're cooking for a beautiful family that you love. I can make so much out of this. So this can be, I can cut that in half, the pizza sauce. I can make 2 different dinners because I make my homemade dough. That's coming. Be patient, everyone. The sauce that I have here, I only need maybe 2 cups of that to make my meatball Parmesan. So the rest of that is going to be labeled and frozen for another day. And I could break that into 3 different meals. Again, I can make pasta vazul with that. I can make spaghetti with it. I can just cook it longer. If you feel, I don't use paste. I think paste is very bitter. If I'm gonna make my sauce thicker, I'll make a small buttered roux, which is maybe a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of, well, maybe 2 teaspoons of butter and a little flour, and I'll stick it in there to make it a little thicker. I do not like paste, but that's your choice. It makes it too bitter. So if your sauce you feel is a little bitter, add a pinch of sugar. So I'm gonna, I don't know how long my phone's gonna record, but. So I'm gonna lower this because I want to simmer this for a long time, at least an hour. And then I'm gonna taste it. Then I'll taste it and I'll know what it needs. So this is going to be for meatball Parmesan. I'm going to stick that in the oven. The rest of this, I'm going to go smaller meatball. And I'm going to keep that with my sauce when I freeze it. This is going in the oven, and again, this is for tonight. So just keep an eye on that. And you don't have to turn it, flip it, mix it, or anything. Give this a good spin. Now, homemade sauce is way more than this. I'm going to add a little pinch of sugar to this. Not much. You don't want it too sweet. And while everything's slow cooking, you can start your dishes and keep up with that so you don't have like a real bad chore with it. Before I get started on my meatballs, I wanted to show you something else I was doing. You can fry it in corn oil and you can fry it in olive oil. I'm using olive oil. But you could also fry it in any oil that you want. I wouldn't say peanut oil. I think that would really give it a different taste, in my opinion. Since olive oil is very expensive, you could do half and half because I want a little more oil in there. So this is corn oil. So you could fry your meatballs or you could bake them. So remember I told you I was going to make ham soup? And I did. Well, This is a 15 bean soup that I'm going to use for the other ham that I made yesterday for Easter. And it has the directions in it. You soak it overnight. Don't be afraid to add water. You want to keep it wet. And it's called an Italian bean soup. Or you could use the 15 bean soup. This is so good. The directions are in the back. I mean, how can you go wrong? What a meal. If you do not add noodles to it, you can freeze it. Make 2 meals and label it. And make sure all the air is out of the Ziploc bag. I use the sealed meal too. So this package comes with a little pack of ham stock. So you want to whisk that in. You'll make this tomorrow when all the beans are nice and full. You have to soak them again overnight. So I'm gonna make my little meatballs. I'm waiting till that oil gets hot. Hot enough. So you're gonna use half of the meatball that you used before. If you wanna make them the same size, just use a ice cream scooper. I run my fingers through water and I'll throw a drop of water in there. If it didn't fry up, then I know it's not ready. Don't do a whole gallon of it, just a drop of water. That's all you need, 1 drop of water. And that's how I know if my grease is hot enough. So I'm gonna take these fried meatballs and they're gonna go sit in my sauce for my future spaghetti or my future, no, I don't know, whatever I want to use it for. So I could take a scoop of that and put it in Ziploc bags and freeze them. And I can write on there pasta visual, for pasta visual, or I want to use some of that sauce for a Italian wedding soup or a vegetable stock soup. You could use it for anything. Seriously, it's just tomatoes and herbs. When I cook it out of the garden in the summertime, the chunky marinara from the bell peppers, from the vegetables, oh my goodness. And we put that, my son and I put it on, he helps me do that, so we'll do that in the summer when our vegetables grow up, but it's still early yet. I added a little piece of meat to see if it's ready. So anyway, we make that sauce, the chunky sauce, for the fried pizza or for the grilled pizza. I don't know if anybody's ever tried grilled pizza, but it's really delicious. You gotta be careful it doesn't fall in, but it's, when you make it, you only put it on each side for like 6 minutes. And take it off with some tongs. And put your sauce or whatever you want to put on it, and your fresh basil and your fresh mozzarella. Oh my goodness, fresh spinach, and have a nice little pizza. It's popping, so it's getting ready. You can hear it. Please do not burn yourself. And if you feel like it's cooking too fast and it's burning, it's really simple. Take it off the heat for a second and lower your flame. I'm going to start placing these down. Do not touch that oil, it is hot. Any used oil that I have left over, I put in a container and I bring it to the dump that we have. They have an oil tank that you can put your used oil in, which is nice. So I have some bigger than others. It's okay. It's a meatball. It will be eaten. You want to use a big spoon to turn these. How are we doing over there? There you go. So you can see that's starting to foam a little bit. Never cook and leave your kitchen. Don't do that. So you're gonna slow cook that. This is a little more soupier, but as it cooks for a while, it's gonna get thicker. This you want to keep thick. Remember I told you, because you want to use it on top of your pizza. And you don't need a lot on your pizza either. It's delicious. So the fresh herbs are really a bonus for you and for your family. Even if you can't grow them because you live in, you know, a place where you have no windows, or I wouldn't say windows, but not good lighting, or no backyard. You can buy your herbs fresh, and you can do the same thing, you know. You can go to the store and buy a nice plant and just pick it off of there, or you can buy fresh herbs and look at the dates. Don't be afraid to look at the dates. When they picked them, when they processed them to be shipped. My meatballs are doing good. So the big meatballs are going to take a little longer. Give that a little turn. So these meatballs are tiny. They will be for spaghetti and meatballs. So they're going to get frozen, cooled down and frozen into my next meal. Veal's expensive. It's like, here it's $8.99 a pound. You don't have to use veal. You could use chopped meat, which is used for anything. My God, I have like at least 30 recipes for ground round chopped meat, whatever you want to call it. But we call it chopped meat. See how beautiful those are? So I'm going to cook them until I know they're golden brown on all sides and the center is 90% done. And how I will know that is by pressing down on it just very lightly. I can tell it's very loose. So I want to cook it till it's a little firm. So this is real loose, okay? So go back more. You feel it's a little firmer, but that's loose, so that would be raw. So go back in your hand a little bit, and then you can feel it with your spoon, and you'll know. So even like when you cook beef, if you put your fork in and it's too giving, then you know it's too raw. So you can tell the difference. So get a feel for that, and you'll know. So I'm going to finish cooking this up. I'm going to show you the grand finale later. I'm going to let this cook for a while. I don't want to bore you all. And that's what I don't want to do. But anyway, this is a good piece of sauce. And this is your quick sauce that I'm making for my meatball Parmesan sandwiches tonight. So I have these frying. And remember, I'm going to cook them till I know that they're firmer. And once they're done, I'm going to scoop them out and put them in my sauce. Okay? And the rest of the grease we're going to discard in a container somewhere. In the house, I have a container somewhere that I keep it. And then the meatballs in the oven are for the meatball Parmesan sandwiches. So I'll do another video on the end of this, and I hope I'm teaching you, and I hope I'm helping. And I hope you all had a beautiful Easter, and God bless all of you, and I really mean that. God bless all of you. Enjoy your family. Eat your dinners at the supper table. If they don't come, they don't eat. It's a tradition in my house, and I don't think we ever missed a family dinner together. And but thank you so much, and God bless, and I'll see you soon.